Hey, well, I just got done installing the semi-gloss paint on the top and the edges, and I decided I just used the 2-inch throwaway paintbrush. I was going to use my 3-inch, but the 2-inch worked fine because I had to kind of cut it in the best I could and do across here. It didn't really take me that long to do that, and I didn't get it cut in exactly 100% perfect, but that's okay. I got it as best as I could. When that dries, you're not even gonna really know it because it's the same color paint. But this just gives me a little bit more durability on these shelves, especially since they're right here next to the little kitchen in this condo. Okay, if we're gonna put food and stuff like that, and then the other ones by the washer and dryer upstairs, I did the same thing. And the thing I wanted to tell you about the craft paper too, when you use craft paper, the good thing is you know when you've dropped some paint, and before you walk off the craft paper, you can step and see if there's any paint on the bottom of your feet, and before you start walking out on your nice floors or your carpet or whatever. You know, I could take a little piece of carpet pad or something, some old carpet pad, and I could set it down here, but you just look on the craft paper. You know, it really works out good. You've got to get it. One of these days, I'm going to really convince you that you should start using craft paper instead of the real thin plastic or canvas, not canvas, but you know, those big heavy drop cloths that painters use. When you put something like that down on the floor, you don't know if there's any paint on it, where the paint's dripped on there. You start walking all over the place. You're walking all over on the paint, and then you've got to have those drop cloths forevermore and store them and all that kind of stuff. This stuff is easy to store, man. Here. This is how you store your craft paper. Look at all the craft paper I still have left for all kinds of things, and I'll still bring out some for here, and I won't just tape it down kind of like this. See, I'm just not going to do that, you know. And I could put it all along here, 3 foot wide, all the way across, and tape it all down and stuff. But no, I'm going to take just a full piece. Let's just imagine this is a full piece, okay, 3 foot wide and stuff. I'm just going to shove it up there like that with my foot, and then I just kind of slide it along, and I'll have like an 8 foot long piece, or maybe 9 or 10 feet long, depending. And see, I don't have to tape it and stuff. And if you will remember, when I paint the baseboard, if I don't get it all the way down to the bottom, you know, as long as I'm within a 1/4 inch or so of the floor, and if I happen to tag the floor a little bit, and if I'm within a 1/4 inch of the baseboard, I can leave that paint, because remember, I'm going to put 1/4 round on there, and I'm going to probably use 5/8 1/4 round, and it's a pre-finished white, and it comes in lengths at Home Depot. I think they're 8 foot lengths. 8 foot lengths or 10 foot lengths, but I think they're 8 foot lengths, and it's this plastic stuff, and it's white all the way through, so if it scratches, it's still white. And it might even be the same color as the baseboard. I still have to paint this baseboard, but once I get that, I'll show you it, and if it matches, if it blends in really good, all I'll have to do is put some white caulking on the back side of it, and push it up there, tape it to the wall, let it dry, pull the masking tape up, and then take a nice bead of caulking on the top of the 1/4 round. And I may not even have to paint that 1/4 round. If the 1/4 round, there's 2 different kinds of 1/4 round at the Home Depot. One is like an MDF pre-primed 1/4 round. Then of course you have to paint that. But this other stuff is like plastic stuff, and it's white, and it might just work without me having to paint it. Stay tuned for that, but hey, I hope I've made a believer in you of using craft paper from now on. Oh, that's funny. Remember I said I needed some white ceiling flat paint? I wasn't quite sure what it was for. It's for those marks, remember? Up there. Those lines on the ceiling from my little paint roller cover, or my paint roller frame. And I don't have to do that today, mind you. I can do that some other time, so I guess I don't have to worry about that today. But what you probably should do after a while is get a notepad, and I've worked off of clipboards forever. And you just start making yourself a list of things to do, things that you still need to do today, or things that need to be cut in, or certain things, or like I say, you can take some blue masking tape. You just pop a little piece of masking tape up there, and that will be your reminder. You know what I mean? Okay, I just thought that was funny. I had to give myself a little chuckle. My mind is swirling of all the different little things I need to do today with the paint. All right, I'm out for now. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to make a short little video clip of this because I wanted to show you my ingenuity on these. Remember, I've got all these different paint trays, and I use different paint in each one and stuff. And I just use those little throwaway ones, and I still have a couple new ones in here and stuff. But remember this one had a hole in it, and this one had a hole in it. Look what I did to fix it. I put some duct tape on it, and I put duct tape on that one. Yeah, these are still good. I'm not going to throw them away yet. And you know what else I could do? I could have put a piece of duct tape over the top of this and just ran my paint over the duct tape. What's the big deal? You know, that'll work too. So I'm still good to go with those, and I've got probably 8 to maybe 10 to 12 layers of paint in here in just this one. And this thing feels like it's like 3 pounds, 2 or 3 pounds heavy. And it's because I got so many layers of paint in there. And after a while, when I get done with this job, you know, and let that dry for a week or so or more than that, I can virtually rip out all of the old paint and just peel it out, and that paint tray cover will be good to go for some more. Hey, don't throw those away every time you get done with it. You can still use them. Put the same paint in there. It's fine. After that paint dries, it shouldn't reactivate the old paint, depending how long ago you put the old paint. If I had white paint in here and I used white semi-gloss paint in here yesterday, let's say, at the end of the day, and first thing the next morning I wanted to put my gray paint in there, I might think twice about that. Because the white paint might not be dry all the way, and then if you reactivate it and you get some other color of paint on there, let's say, then you could get that mixing in with your other paint. You don't want to do that, okay? But as it is, hey, I'm good. And you know, the semi-gloss paint that I'm going to use to put over those shelves, I'm just going to use my little throwaway paintbrush. That's all I need. I'm not going to use that one. I just use that for a brush. Look how old it is, but I don't throw it away when I pour paint out, when I want to clean up the paint trays and stuff. I use this one. I don't wreck my cut-in brush. I try to keep that as nice and clean as possible, as well as my other cut-in brush, because you start using those too much and then they start fraying, and the ends, you know, when you get 2 or 3 of these bristles sticking out, it throws you off when you're cutting in. And then if you get a little bit of paint on 1 or 2 of those, it could throw paint somewhere else where you don't want to cut in, where you're not cutting in. You know what I mean? So what I do on these is I'll take my little carpet scissors and see the little pieces that are sticking out. Sometimes they'll go back together when they get wet with paint, but then other times they stick out. And so I'll pull this down all the way with my little carpet scissors, and I'll cut off those couple little pieces, and I continually do that, because the last thing you want is paintbrush little thread pieces sticking out when you're cutting in. And the other thing you don't want when you're cutting in is little bits of sand, little bits of sawdust getting in on your paintbrush. Oh, that is the worst thing possible when you're cutting in, and then you keep going back and forth and you get those little bits in there that keep showing themselves, and you try to pull them off with your fingers and slide them off with your fingertips and stuff, and they keep showing up, you know. Then you've got to make a decision. Is that stuff in your paint, or is it just in your paintbrush? And then you got to rinse your paintbrush out and do something else while your paintbrush is drying before you can start painting some more. Okay, just different things. Okay, I just thought you might get a chuckle out of how I'm recycling these little plastic paint trays. And here's the other thing. When you start getting into the end of your job and you got to get into 4 different paints because you're doing touch-up and stuff, look, I've got 3 trays. I can pour 3 different colors in there. I can also work right out of the paint container, the paint can. Usually if I do that, I'll put this on there. I like to use that anyways. Whenever I pour paint and stuff, then I wipe it off, because then I don't get the paint in that groove. You know what I mean? And it's easier to, you know, when I'm working right out of the paint can, I can just use this side deal after I put it in there, and then I can just wipe my paintbrush off on that. So see, if I'm working with 4 different colors, let's say, I can pour a little bit in that one, I can pour some other in there, some other in there. I can work directly out of that, and I need to use different paintbrushes. Well, one of them I've determined I'm going to use my throwaway 3-inch paintbrush. I could have used my 2-inch throwaway paintbrush on something else, and then I've got my cut-in brush, and then I've got my other cut-in brush. I'm pretty much set up for whatever I need to do, because if you're going to think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get back and forth in different paints and stuff, and you're only going to use one cut-in paintbrush all day long, it's kind of difficult to do that, because you gotta rinse it out, and then your bristles are still wet to a certain extent before you start getting into another paint. Usually, if I want to use it quick, I'll take it and try to dry it off that way, or because there's carpet pad on there, I can do that and get most of it off. I can put it in the sun for a few minutes, but I don't like to take a direct cut-in brush or any type of paintbrush after I've just rinsed it out and have it wet and start working out of another paint, especially if you're going to be trying to cut the paint in, because now you're mixing your water from your paintbrush right in with your paint. And I don't care how well of a cut-in person you are, for the first, 15 feet of cut-in, you're probably going to have to go over it twice, because your paintbrush still has water in it. You see what I'm saying? So just kind of be aware of that, especially if you're going to be working with more than one color during the day. All right, that's enough. I'm gonna work now and get this project done.